Hi all, welcome back to Oops with C++ session 43. In previous session we have discussed about static data members, how to write it inside a class and what is the advantage of that. So if you have not watched that video, please watch it, session 42. And in today's session we are going to discuss about static member functions inside a class, how to write it. Okay. Till now we have seen how to write non-static member functions. So, what is the static member function? So, just like static data members, we can have static member functions also inside a class. And just like as non-static data, non-static member functions, we can have static member functions also. So, while discussing static data members, we have discussed that static data members' existence is not tied with an object, but its existence is tied with class. In the same way, static member functions are also class specific. Their existence is not tied with the object. Okay. So just like normal member functions, static member functions won't have this pointer as first argument. So we have discussed while discussing the member functions of a class, we have discussed this pointer. So if you have not watched this pointer related video, please watch it. I will give the link in the description. Okay. So what is this pointer? All those things we have discussed in that session. Okay. So we have discussed that for a non-static member function, there will be a default pointer provided by the compiler as a first argument, and that is known as this pointer. And that this pointer will hold the address of the invoking object, so that the member function will easily identify which object is actually invoking that function. Okay. So for normal member functions, the first argument will be this pointer, whereas for static member function there won't be any this pointer. So because this pointer is associated with object, not with the class. In the same way, these non-static members are also associated with the object, not with the class. So, but whereas static members existence is tied with the class, not with the object. So that's the reason this pointer won't be available for the static member functions. Okay. So since there won't be any this pointer inside a static member function, we won't be able to access any non-static data members of the invoking object inside the member function. Okay. Inside the static member functions. Okay. Um, So we have seen that so static member functions can access only static data members of the class, which cannot access the non-static data members because this pointer is not associated with the static member functions. Okay. Now let's see one program and understand how it is working. Okay. So in previous program, we have seen that we have use static data member to identify how many number of instances of that particular class got created. So what we will do is here we will write some function. So here this static int count, I have made it as a private member. Okay, and we have a class constructor, my class constructor. So here we have incrementing count and data equals to 10. Data is a non-static data member, so I have initialized it here. Okay, and in destructor I am decrementing because whenever any object is getting created, a constructor will be called, and whenever any object is destroyed, so destructor will be called. And here I have provided a normal member function, that is non-static member function. So get object count. So what I am doing is here I am returning the count, return count. Okay. So now, but this is a non-static member, right? So non-static member function, if you are invoking, what you have to do is you need an object to be mentioned here. Okay, so with object only you can invoke the non-static member functions. this is not possible. Okay, if you want, we can try this. We can compile this program. Save. Let's compile this. This static CPP. Compiling it. You see, right? So line number 18. So this is my class. This one. Error cannot call member function get object count. This is error because we need object to invoke a non-static member function. Okay. So this is an error. Then for that reason, what we have to do, we can comment this one. So this is also error. Okay. So this is also error. This is also right. Because I cannot call the member functions, non-static member functions without object. Sorry, I'm not saving. Right now it is working. So objects count equals to 2 objects we have created. After this we have not printed. Okay. So this is fine. Now how to write static member functions? Okay. So for that, let's see the syntax of static member functions. So what you can do is for a normal member function, however you will write non-static member function, you write it in the same way. But before the return type, provide the static keyword. Okay, and when you are giving the definition of this function outside the class, follow the same syntax how you will follow for the non-static elements. That is return type, class name, scope resolution, function name, arguments, and give the definition here. So static keyword. So whenever you are giving the declaration and definition of the static member function, differently, like you are giving the declaration inside the class and definition outside the class, then what you can do is don't give the static keyword outside the when you are giving the definition. Okay, so this keyword has to be present only in the declaration, not in the definition. Okay, so now again we come back to the program once again by using the same syntax. So what I have to do is, this program is fine. Only thing is I have to make my get object count as static. Provide the static keyword. Now it is a static member function. So then all these things, this one will work now. So I can call the non-static member, static member functions with object or without object also. If you are calling the static member function without object, then you have to provide the class name and scope resolution. Okay. So in the same way, however we were accessing static data members without using object, in the same way we are accessing static member functions also without using object. With object or without object also you can access. When you are using without object, then you have to provide the class name and scope resolution. That's the one. So what I'm doing here, so initially I have created, so I have not created any objects of this class. So here I'm trying to print the object count. So object count will be 0 now because none of the objects got created. So here I have created two objects, object 1 and object 2. Now when I say here I'm by using object 1, I'm invoking this get object count member function, obj1 dot get object. So obj2 dot get object count. So here also 2, here also 2 will get. So now again I am creating the object, but where I am creating the object in heap segment. So here obj1 and obj2 got memory in stack segment, whereas for MPTR we are creating object inside the stack member, sorry, heap segment. Okay. So now totally how many objects got created? Here 1, 2, and this one 3. Totally 3 objects created. So we are expecting 3 here. After that, what we are doing is we are deleting that MPTR. We know that whenever you are using delete MPTR, delete, then delete will call the destructor. So destructor of the class my class, because MPTR is of type my class, right? So the delete will call the destructor of my class. So in the destructor of my class, we are decrementing the count. So when you are decrementing the count, so the count will be decremented. Now the object count will be here 2. Okay. Now let's see whether it is working as we expected or not. So no error. If I remove static keyword here, then I will get error, because I cannot invoke non-static member functions without object, right? Now it is a static, so I can invoke it. Okay, let's execute this program. See, object count is 0, so initial count is 0. So later obj1 dot get object count 2. Here also 2, because here we have created 2 objects, and we have object count, get object count. Here 3 objects got created, right? So when I say delete MPTR, so here destructor will be called. In destructor we have decremented the count. Okay, correct. So that's the reason we are getting get object count. So in this line, how many objects of this class is present? Only 2 objects. So we are getting 2. So like this, we can have a static member functions. So there is some more thing. What I will do is, in this get object count, what I will do is I will try to okay. So what I will do is I will try to print cout the value data. Okay. So data is a non-static member. Okay. Now let's compile this. Compile this program. Now see. Invalid use of my class scope data in static member functions. Okay. So data you cannot access it here, because it is a non-static member functions, right? This non-static data members existence is tied with the object, not with the class. So inside a static member function, you cannot access non-static data members. Okay, you can access only static data members. Okay. You can access only static data members. Okay. That's about this. Okay. But there is one thing, you can access you can access static data members inside a non-static member function. That reverse is possible, but this one is not possible. You cannot access non-static data members inside a static member function, but you can access static data members inside a non-static member function. Okay. Now let's see some of the points which you have to remember. So static member functions are class specific, not object specific. Static member functions are can access only static members of the class, only static data members of the class. You cannot access the non-static data members of invoking function. So static member functions won't have this pointer, unlike the normal functions of the class. For the normal functions, you can have this pointer, but for non-static member functions, there won't be any this pointer. Because of this reason only, you cannot access non-static data members inside a static member functions. Okay. So static keyword has to be present only in the declaration of the static member function, not in the definition of the static member functions. when the declaration and definitions are given separately. So you have given the declaration of static member function inside the class and definition outside the class. So during that time, you are not supposed to give static keyword outside the in the definition. It has to be present only in the declaration. Okay. So let's do one more thing. Here, what I'm doing is say I am creating one object here, my class obj. Okay. Now what I will do is cout obj. Okay. Is it allowed or not? Yeah. So because what I told is I cannot access non-static data members of a class inside a static member function, right? Let's see whether it is working or not. First save. I saved it. Compile the program. It's done. Successfully it is compiling. How it is compiling? Object count is equals to 0. Now we have the value we are printing. Okay. Data equals to 10. So here we have printed. Whenever we are calling this, the objects count, object data we are printing. So it's not object count. Actually, this objects count. Inside this we have this right objects obj1 dot get object count. So this value it is getting printed. Don't get confused with that. So now this 10 value is printing. How it is possible that we can access here? Okay, as I mentioned, static data members cannot be accessed. Non-static data members cannot be accessed inside a static member function. So this is I am talking about like this. When you are doing like this, cout data. What do you mean by this? When you are writing cout data, it is like this. It is similar like this arrow data, right? This is not possible. When you are writing like this, cout data, it is like you are trying to provide this like this. You are trying to do this arrow data. It is like invoking objects data member you are accessing. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, this is not allowed, but this is allowed. Okay, don't get confused with this. This is allowed. This is not allowed. Sorry, this is allowed. This one is allowed, and this is not. This is allowed. So that's for today. Hope you understood the concept. So we'll meet in the next session with constant numbers. Thank you. Thanks for watching.